I want to cover right now why you should believe me in the video I posted before this called When I Was Caught Away to Meet God. In this particular video, which is about 44 minutes in length, I related when I had an actual teleportation, transportation experience in 1972, when God took me to meet Him, to share a revelation from Him concerning the final day, the great day of wrath. Now, I'm covering here why. Why should you believe me, first of all, that I was actually caught away? Because people have problems believing when someone tells them they had an actual encounter or experience someplace. Like, take for instance Bill Weiss. Here is a man that has a credible background, and he had a powerful experience where he related, he woke, and he had an experience where he spent several minutes in hell. Well, a lot of people brush it off as a dream. No matter what you say, they're adamant and they are staying convicted by that, no matter how credible he is. And this can be said also of people who have had experiences where they've gone to heaven, even if it wasn't in a dream state. Take, for instance, Jesse Duplantis, where he reported when he was in his hotel room, he had a spontaneous catching away where he found himself in heaven. There weren't any people around, and some people still don't believe it. Well, for whatever reason, and I like to believe it's the mercy of God, God has planned throughout my life situations that give evidentiary evidence of such things that I am talking about, I experienced. Now, what I am giving here, and the reason that I'm doing it, is because the revelation that the Lord gave me, it's powerful. It has to do with mercy. Mercy from God, actually, to allow people to have a revelation about where they stand in enough time that people can change and change the fate. If they're one of the many, many, many people, I'm talking about millions and millions and millions of people I saw that God showed me will be on earth on His day of wrath. Now, I'm not unique as far as being a servant of God. You know that when you were saved as a Christian, you became a soldier in the army of the Lord. You're enlisted, whether or not you have done anything towards that job that you're given. We are all enlisted. Now, we all also have special things that the Lord has assigned each of us to. In my case, the Lord has given me certain things to relate. Now, one of these things is this experience I had in 1972 where I found myself caught away to meet God, actually meet God here on the earth. Now, what I want to take the time here is, in my history, actually this very month that I'm talking right now, August, but going back 29 years to 1989. There exists, you can find it, you can read it yourself on the internet. It was published, though, a publication that was published in 1989. It has a story that I wrote, an article that I wrote. In that article, now first I have to say this, I was actually born again about 8 or 9 years ago. I know the day I was baptized, but to see the year, I have to look it up. I was baptized on Pentecost Day. Even though I considered myself a Christian, I had been raised Catholic, and I had been a practicing Catholic, a very devoted Catholic, for decades. However, I left the Catholic faith, and I have another powerful story why, and God willing, when it's the right time, I will share that story. So, having been a practicing Catholic, and a Catholic who was trained in the Catholic faith in the early 60s, things may be different now. But when I was raised as a Catholic, there was never any talk about terms like prophetic, prophecy, not amongst the people today. Nothing having to do with people being translated, transported, nothing at all. So I didn't know these terms. When I had received supernatural experiences myself, as I look back now as a Christian who has come to learn these different things, all I knew was to use the languages of things that I knew then, which was New Age terms like premonitions, dreams that were premonitory, when they were actually prophetic. I didn't know the terms. When I had experienced that in 1972, when I was caught away, I didn't even know about anything biblical. I didn't even know how to describe it. I just called it an incident, a dream incident, because it was so powerful. I didn't know the terms. It's only when I became born again, when I became a Christian, when I studied the Bible, when I was amongst Christian people, that I learned, I came to understand, what are the right things to describe what I went through. So this article that I wrote was at a time that I was very worldly. I was like many people of the world. I read the astrology charts. I was into my astrology science. I saw no problem whatsoever about reading the tarot cards and things like that. So everything that I talked about, everything that I related that was supernatural, I used occult terms, paranormal terms, paranormal terms to describe them. And that's what I used in this article when I wrote about a time when I was 19 years of age, where my best friend at the time, we moved in together and we shared an apartment together, and a lot of different supernatural things happened there. One, though, we knew was an angel standing guard over both of us jointly. But what I'm talking about is that in this article, which you can find in the specific issue, now it still exists. So here's the proof. This was written 29 years ago. I wrote it 29 years ago. The thing about it that's powerful, although I wrote the article, I was relating what my roommate told me about me. It wasn't me testifying about myself. It was someone else testifying about me. And in the Bible, we know that when a person testifies about themselves, that's not much testimony. When other people testify about you, then it's a testimony that you can pay attention to. Now, in this particular one, relating to why you should believe me in my testimony that I was actually caught away, and it wasn't a dream experience. In this particular article, which I'm showing you just a printout of the archive. If it can be seen here, this magazine, it's on the internet today. I told you it's a paranormal, because like I told you, I was into the paranormal at the time. And this is Fate magazine. It appeared in August 1989. Okay? And it was volume 42, number 8, issue 473. Now, the different things that I wrote about in there, I recounted how my roommate came home one day. We were both 19, so she came home on a bicycle, and we were living in this apartment on the first floor. And the apartment is like many apartments, is that the rear of the apartment had a pair of sliding glass doors that exited from the living room, and next to that, separated by a little small wall, was a bedroom. That was my roommate's bedroom that had a pair of sliding glass doors. So my roommate, she came up on her bicycle, and she said as she came up to our living room area, we had the curtains open. We were college-age students. She said she saw me very intensely involved painting a little mural on the wall I was painting. And she knocked on the living room. I was right there in the living room. I was painting on the wall. I was perhaps about 7 feet away from her. The windows were open. The sliding glass doors were the living room glass doors. So she was right there seeing me. And I was kind of like my sideways and my back to her. This is what she said. And she knocked on the, seeing me there and seeing that I was painting. She wanted to see what I was painting because we had been painting on the walls of our apartment some murals that were related to Tolkien. We were very much into Tolkien at that time, The Hobbit, and also science fiction things. But this new thing that she saw me painting wasn't anything we had discussed, and it was nothing to do with any of those projects we were doing. It was off by its side. And so she was piqued, intrigued, and also, being in the mind of a 19-year-old, also kind of wanted to say, what am I doing? She rapped on the sliding glass door for me to let her in. And she said that I lifted my hand to her to wait a minute, and I didn't turn around. She didn't want to wait. So she just walked right the 1 foot to her bedroom sliding glass doors. She let herself in, and as she came right out of her bedroom door, I came out at that instant from the bathroom, dressed in totally different clothes, my hair wrapped in a towel that was completely wet because I had just showered. And she was shocked. She was absolutely shocked. Now, I had to tell you, this is what I had. This is my side of the story. I was taking a shower. I remember taking that shower. I remember I was washing my hair. I remember wrapping my hair in a towel, and I remember coming out and seeing my roommate coming out of the room, and her mouth just dropped. And she's telling me that she just saw me in the living room. I was in the living room dressing a completely different clothes, and I was making a painting. And I thought that she was making this up. She was making it up. And she was stunned. And we both went over there because to understand, this is a small apartment, 2-bedroom apartment. We're paying a very cheap amount for this apartment. So my room was next to the bathroom, and her bedroom was was across from mine, and the living room right there. So we maybe had about 6 inches to walk to get into the living room. And I didn't believe her because I was taking a shower. So we both went over there, and we were stunned to see this beginning of this painting. It was true. What she had told me, I realized was true. We photographed it. It was it was about the size of a teacup, and it was different purples. I then understood that somehow I knew she wasn't making it up because it was about me, and she would not boast about me. We were typical teenage girls. We wouldn't promote one another. And we photographed it, and we didn't we didn't really know what to do about it, because if it had been maybe times like now when you have access to institutions and individuals you can contact through the internet, you can search for it, we might have found someone to actually come over and scrape the painting and test what it was. Was it really painting? Because the other thing about it, she had just seen me, but when we went to there, this was like, it appeared to be like enamel paint. And enamel paint, we had been painting a lot. It took a while to dry. It was entirely dry. She had just seen me paint. She had seen me watch me paint the strokes. And in less than a minute, it was dry, as if it had been there for months. We both regretted that she didn't wait to see what it was that was being painted. But that particular event, when my roommate witnessed me in another place while I was somewhere else also within the same place, it's not like you could say, oh, she saw someone like you. It was within our very apartment. It was within a small frame of distance where I was the only one in there, and it was me she saw. She wasn't mistaken. And behind was left the evidence of whatever it was that I was doing at the time, which I don't know. I don't know what it was. I didn't know how to describe it then. At the term, we only looked at paranormal things, what they call doppelganger. But this is a recorded time when I was somehow I was translated while all my body was also in another place. The point of this is that it's been recorded in my own life. Someone witnessed me somewhere else. Obviously, there was no one there. So it was my spirit self that she had seen, while my physical self was 10 feet away within the shower. So someone else testifies, and not just testified, she didn't get anything out of it, and I didn't get anything out of it, because I didn't relate this particular story until 8 years later in a small magazine. It was a small magazine that it didn't really amount to anything doing so, but people, the way people share their stories now, many people shared their stories in Fate magazine. But what I had it was an actual article. This is the actual article. So archives of this actual issue that it appeared in exists still. You can still order it, though you can't order it from Fate magazine, because I went now to see, and they no longer sell back issues. So that has changed, but you can still find the back issue. However, as a Christian, I urge you not to get it, because the issue was a magazine about occult things. Okay, this is why, to tell you the truth, I used to have many issues of this, but when I became born again, I started cleaning house, and I threw everything out that was occult, even the one thing that I had written here, because I don't want to keep anything. I did scan the article, but it didn't include anything else within it that had to do with channeling and all those things that Fate magazine was about. So you don't have to take my word for it. I have in print somewhere 29 years ago that someone else testifies I was in the body somewhere and spiritually in another place, and left behind evidence that we have photographed. Now this actually, Vivian Cole was my name at the time. I actually have this as a testifying evidentiary thing. Okay. The Lord has some things for me to do. And in a dream many years ago, he came and sang to me, "Soldier in Christ, soldier in Christ." He sang this to me as a message that I am a soldier. He's made me a soldier. Now, the thing is, we are all soldiers, but this is something I'm to take to heart. And whatever the Lord has given me to do, those things He has given me to do, I'm going to, God, help me do the best I can. I want to go to every effort to do the things that I'm to do for the Lord as well as I can. This thing that happened to me where I met God, it's a big thing. And the thing about it is what God revealed has to do about His point of view of people in sin. This really is a mercy message from God to wake many up who are in deception about sin. Not just unbelievers, but people who are in the body of Christ who are slumbering or who are in deception about sin after receiving Christ. This is pretty important. I want to take out everything the Lord has given me to hit with what He has given me with the full impact. This is not a dream. I have testimonies from others when I was actually found by them to be in two different places at the same time. Well, the first that my friend saw, since there was no one in that apartment and our doors were locked, she didn't find a double me. In fact, we both went. We both were storming around there to see this person, this other me. Well, there was no other me. It was locked, so evidently it had to be the spiritual. So there is a testimony in my history when someone will testify that I was translated out of my body to a reality that left behind a physical evidence. I don't know what would happen if I had been that age today and that had happened. And we both had the photograph. We took a photograph of this little painting that was started. If she had not interrupted that me so early, what would have been painted there? I do not know. However, that stayed on that wall until I had to leave that apartment. And my roommate later on, she was forced by the landlady to paint over the walls. This was, in 82, 81. We didn't have access to be able to call someone up to scrape the walls, to investigate what that was. But that's not the point. The point is that in my past, I have evidence, a testimony, when someone witnessed me out of body and in my body somewhere else. The whole value of this is that I have testimony, evidence in my past that I, Vivian Gendernalik, have a history where someone has seen me caught away. So I have actually been caught away. And so when I give this testimony that I was caught away to meet God, there was a credibility there. Because in the future, I was again caught out of my body. And it wasn't me who testified. Another person testified. And a publication exists with that testimony. So that's one reason that what I'm saying when I was caught away, because people, it's hard to believe what you see, especially here on the internet. There are some people who do make things up. They really make things up. I don't know what. Because the Lord is watching us all, okay? So if you are saying you're Christian brethren and you're making testimonies up, it says in Revelation, liars are one of those not going to be getting into the city. So if you are someone saying something like that, you need to examine yourself, and you especially have to refresh your fear of God measurement, okay? Because even to testify, even to win souls, lying is not accepted. Lying is not overlooked. It's a sin, okay, for one. I just want to tell you this. And so that's one thing, okay, that I have in my past, something concrete. Here I was, if that can be seen. Here I was in that article. This was my roommate. I should cover her so you see her name. And here we were. I believe that was, I think that was when I had written the article, and we got together so I could photograph us so she could be in the article. And she's the one. It was her. She insisted upon it. And you know what? I didn't have to try to figure out if she was telling the truth or not. Because in a few seconds I was about to see the evidence myself on the wall. So this, to me, is the hand of God to plant throughout my life things here and there that would empower the particular things He has given me to relate in the last days for the purpose to help save souls. We all are on this mission, and we all have different things the Lord has given us.